Anthony Adebayo. We off the record. Scotty B. We off the record. And the most accurate sports coverage. We off the record. Scotty B's Fantasy 5. We off the record. You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. We off the record. Anthony Adebayo. We off the record. And the most accurate sports coverage. We off the record. Scotty B's Fantasy 5. We off the record. We off the record.
We're different from any other sports show.
Yeah. What's going on, man?
What's good, man? What's going on? What's going on?
It's a lot going on.
It's a lot going on. I just off the record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
It's your boy Scotty B.
All right, so yeah, it's a lot going on, and we got a lot to talk about. So
yeah, I don't even know where to start.
All right, so I guess we'll start as normal, and I'll ask you, how was your week?
My week was good. Started a week, got to get a nice victory in our little DJ contest. Yeah, man, crazy. Got to show off my skills, and crazy part, man. If I would have just even understood half the rules from the beginning of it, I would have murdered that joint. But it is what it is. I was still able to come away with the victory. So yeah, that was a good start of the week, man.
You heard that? He said he would have murdered you. Aaron also said he's gonna invoke his rematch clause.
He's not ready.
Okay, from somebody that didn't even want to do the battle.
So look, right? All right. So I want to explain this, and this is not Ern's fault. This has nothing to do with Ern. This is just me overthinking some things.
Okay.
When I watched you and Marcus battle, I thought in the battle, whatever song you played, the person had to like play something similar to it.
Oh, no.
So like for instance, like y'all did like soundtracks. And
we didn't do so. Go ahead.
You just happened to match them. You know what I mean? It wasn't part of the rules. Like a lot of times what you guys were doing was like Marcus would play something. Then you try to match them with like an artist, some similar time period or similar stuff. I didn't realize until about it was either the second or third round that wasn't the rule. I didn't realize that you just literally play anything until you get to the categories. I didn't realize that you guys were just doing that just out of whatever reason y'all were doing it. You didn't have to. Like you could have just said, okay, the hell with it. I'm just going to play whatever song. You didn't have to. Okay, he played the little Mary J, I think, for like a soundtrack, and I think you went ahead and you played something else off another soundtrack. But in reality, you didn't have to do that. Like you could have played anything that you wanted. I didn't realize that. I think it was the third round. That's not what we were doing. So that kind of like screwed me up a little bit.
Okay. Well, I mean, you ended up winning. So congrats to you. So, you know, we had a bet, and I will honor the bet. I will honor the bet. Now, when I honor the bet, that's the question. That is the question. But that was, that was Sunday, and we know everything that happened last week with Greg Floyd and with the protest, and we did have Off the Record hosted a round table, which we had Friday evening, and I felt like that was a needed discussion. I felt like it was a good discussion, and there was a lot of feedback from it, which I felt was some good feedback. So I mean, what were your thoughts on it?
I thought the round table was dope. It was a dope idea. I think the only drawback to the round table was the events that followed the round table.
Like literally,
the next day.
Like an hour after.
It was like
it was crazy.
Okay. Well, we definitely got to have a follow-up.
Yeah,
a round table. I know that it was a lot of talk about like doing the part 2 or whatnot, but then it was like literally after y'all got off the air, so much stuff transpired to where it's like, okay, they've got to have another round 2.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Just one thing I want to add to for the DJ and stuff. Another reason I had an edge was my wife. You know, she beat me like 8 straight times that morning.
Yeah, you said she what?
Beat me. Like we had DJ offs to prepare for Earn. Now I can spill all the beans now. So look.
Yo, don't tell all your. All right, go ahead.
No. This is crazy, right? Mm-hmm. So my wife is like Michael Jordan. My wife is competitive, you know. So she was like, "Look, I know you ain't want to do this battle, but we don't have no losers in this house." So literally Sunday morning, we got up and we battled, and she critiqued all my playlists and did all that. So that's the behind the scenes with it. So I don't know what Shantina's got going on, but I'm gonna tell you, man, my wife. She's gonna get ready, and it's crazy, man.
Yeah. All right. So that is hilarious.
Yo, it was
hilarious.
It was the worst, man.
So again, if you weren't able to see the round table, go take a look. It's on the Off the Record YouTube page. I'll definitely post the link for the YouTube page, and make sure you subscribe. Because we said so, and we're asking really, really nicely. So make sure you subscribe. So where we gonna start, man? Where we gonna start with this?
All right. So since we got a guest, let's start from the good news story of the day with the NBA. That's going to come back. I'm sure you saw that. So they're going to come back at the end of July in Florida. Yeah. They've got 22 teams that they're bringing back. So did they
finalize the 22 teams? I know it was talked about.
So it's the 16 teams that we're in, and then it's 6 teams. So it's going to be 5 from the West, 1 from the East. The criteria is that you got to be, I think it's 5 to 6 games back from that 8th spot. So they're going to play 8 regular season games. They're also going to play a tournament play-in, and we're back. Pretty much, they're going to vote on it tomorrow. It looks like the money won't change too much. I know a lot of the push to get it back is the average team played between 63 and 67 games. So realistically, once you play 70 games, that's when that TV money starts to come in. So that's why they're not just jumping into the playoffs. Because it would make more sense to be like, okay, well, just add 2 more teams to the playoffs, do like 10 seeds each conference, and then go into the playoffs. But the problem with that is they want to collect on that TV money. So that's why they're going to finish I don't blame them.
I don't blame them at all.
Yeah, and then the other side of it was Major League Baseball. They're still no closer to coming back. I think they had put up a proposal for a 114-game season, and that seemed to fall through the cracks.
That's what the players came back with. I think, or the Players Association came back with 114, and Major League Baseball shut that down. So I think they're getting into the more greedy part of everything that's going on, because right now it's like times that we've never seen before. So I think everybody should give a little, and I don't think that's what's happening right now. They're in full blown negotiations and in a labor dispute ultimately, and it's crazy. You know how crazy they look?
So I agree with you 100%, but it's a huge difference between the NBA and Major League Baseball.
Right.
A lot of people aren't taking into account that, like, the NBA, most of them have gotten like 75% of their salary already anyway. They were prorated for a lot of those games. So, like, when you really do the math, they're only going to lose between 18 to 25% of their salary, which, I mean, I shouldn't say only lose, because that's a lot of money
Right.
But that's an easier pill to swallow and know that you're coming back and everything's going to be good, and then you're going to be able to rebound because they're going to push for the next season. Major League Baseball, they haven't got nothing, and then they're still in those negotiation talks. So it's like they're losing now, and you want them to come back on a reduced price. So it's a little bit of difference.
Yeah. So Major League Soccer has I tell you what, Orlando's going to be booming.
Yeah.
Orlando is going to be booming. So I think let's bring our guest on, right?
Okay.
And we'll get to the football stuff a little later because we got a lot to talk about with football, and I know Tiff talk her stuff too. So I'm interested to see how she feels about everything. Let's get her on here. Tiff.
Hi, guys.
What's going on? All right, so I got to give you a formal introduction. All right, so today we have Tiffani Sykes, who is a former. Well, I won't say former. She is a Virginia State grad. She has athletic. She was a four-year letter for volleyball.
Yep.
3 years for track and field. She has experience at Grambling, don't tell me Norfolk State, Virginia Union, and now Dartmouth.
Yep.
You got one.
If you got
you got to throw out St.
Chuan and St. Paul's.
The CIAA office.
And I was going to get to the CIAA office, but yeah, and the CIAA office. So listen, I think I did pretty good.
You did.
Yeah, I did pretty good. But thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And Tiffani, like I tell every guest every week, those introductions are getting better. So if you are really offended, just go back and look at like a episode from 3 years ago.
No,
so he's getting better each week. So don't take any offense to that.
Hey, Scott, we gonna fight.
Hey man, I gotta throw some shots. All that hate that you threw me this weekend, man. Hatred.
No hate. But anyway, let's not our time. So what's going on? How you feeling?
Honestly, I feel like, and I've had this conversation with my coworkers, we're always just conditioned to say, hey, I'm good, I'm fine. And really, I'm not fine. I'm enraged. Mm-hmm. I'm pissed off. I'm upset. And I'm just really doing the best I can. Monday and Tuesday, I did like no work. I probably did a half a day today just because of an incident that happened with me this weekend. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm not fine,
Well, I'm with you. I think we're both with you. It's been draining to say the least. It's been really draining. So how have you what have you done to like cope and deal with everything that's been going on?
So when you say everything that's going on, are we talking past 2 weeks or are we talking past
let's talk the past 2 weeks, because I mean if we only have an hour, so if we talk past 2 months, we're gonna be going past our time. And
well, I mean, but I will say this, because of the coronavirus, working from home, mm-hmm. and how that kind of unfolded for me was actually kind of interesting. But started working from home, and like the first 3 days I was here, I gained 3 pounds, mm-hmm. and I was like, wait a minute, something. And I had already gained a lot of weight when I moved here, because again, right. I'm from Virginia. I moved here from Louisiana. I moved to Vermont, even though I work in New Hampshire in the middle of winter. So, I was just eating, whatever. And mm-hmm. so I started just kind of walking every evening, like 3 to 5 mm-hmm. miles, just to kind of declutter my mind, have some free space up there. And especially after the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, living in Vermont, which is 0.2% Black, living in a town that has 977 people, living in a town that I moved to in November, and I've seen 1 Black man and 0 Black women. I don't want to say I felt like a target, but I know I'm easily identifiable.
Right.
For sure. And so what I had used to kind of decompress and relieve mm-hmm. myself from stress had become very stressful for me. Mm. So the time I had set aside to cope with mm-hmm. these things, I have not walked every day since the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. And then once I get out there again, you see what happened to George Floyd. Even prior to that, you saw what the woman said in Central Park. So what had become a source of stress relief for me has made things more stressful.
Right.
So yeah, last 2 weeks have been they've been difficult.
I think the tough part is I'm not going to say every African American, but I think we're all, even if you're the one that sits all the way to the left and you're not typically involved in this type of stuff, you can't help but not feel some type of way. And some of the stupid comments that I'm just hearing just make you even more pissed off. And I'm not going to condone anybody rioting or tearing up stuff, but I've literally got to the point to where it's like, you know what? I don't even care. If that's what you got to do to make your point, it just is what it is. And I thought I would never get to that point, but I think a lot of African Americans are feeling the same way that I'm feeling, because they're like, dang, they just still don't get it. They don't get it. And it's like, what else has to be done to make people realize what we go through? Like, and we could talk about it. We want to bring it up. I was very disappointed to see Drew Brees' comments about he would never disrespect the flag.
Right. You just don't get it.
And it's like, how many times do we got to say it's not about the flag?
It's never been.
Quit bringing it back to the flag. And it's strange because it's like, I've always been a Drew Brees fan, but for a moment, I'm just like, you know what? I'm done with Drew Brees.
And you know what? I can see how it's easy to do that, especially as an African American who loves sports and loves football, because Drew Brees has made his name as the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans is the keeper of the culture. So you figure someone who can be that well loved in a city and spend that much time in New Orleans is very much aligned with the culture there.
Right.
And he very plain when he could have just shut up.
Should have shut up. It's like he made comments when Colin Kaepernick was doing the whole thing. Like he talked about him disagreeing with everything. And then he brought it to the forefront again. And it's like, dude, you can't shut up and let us do what we got to do. Like if you don't get it, get out the way. We don't want to hear from you. We don't want you to rationalize anything. We don't want you to tell us how to feel. Get out the way. Help us or get out the way.
On that same note, though, like we just said, you could have just shut up. But I will always say, I am less afraid of the racist with the Confederate flag on his car than I am with the ones that are sitting at executive leadership tables for me that I can't identify.
Yep.
So the fact that you're able to make that statement and stand in that statement, at least I know what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
While I feel the statement was stupid, thanks. I appreciate it because now I know.
All right. So well, you have been working from home, and you do work in athletic department. How has it been? Like of course it's different, but how has it been trying to get information to different athletes, incoming athletes, and things, especially incoming athletes? How tough is that?
Well, it's been difficult to get information to incoming student athletes, to current student athletes, to coaches, to all three of those groups, because the NCAA, and I get they're trying to get data and release information as quick as they can, but it's like I would literally tell a coach they could do something on Monday, and by Wednesday it was legislated that they can't. Or I tell a coach they could do something, they make plans for it for a week later, and they've invested all this time making plans, and by the time that rolls around, Friday, the NCAA has released a new statement, and that's no longer permissible. Wow. So I've tried to make myself as accessible as possible. Like I met with all of our spring sports athletes via Zoom by team, just to let them know, like we're in a space where we don't have the answers. Because I think in the beginning, the athletes and coaches felt like you have the answers, you're just withholding information.
Right.
Wasn't the case. We did not have answers. We have more answers, and we've been given more guidance from the NCAA now. But as far as us saying we know what the fall is going to look like or next year is going to look like from an institutional or competitive standpoint, we still just really don't know. I mean, there are a lot of models being floated around by coaches associations, conference offices, and institutions, but we really don't have any answers, and it has made things difficult. When I started working from home, so I supervise our 4 skiing programs. Okay, I'd never been skiing before I get here, and I'm in charge of men's Nordic, women's Nordic, men's Alpine, women's Alpine. I didn't even know the difference in those. So Nordic is like cross-country skiing. Alpine is like downhill.
Oh.
We're in Montana. Right. Neither did I. I took a skiing lesson when I was out there for national championships. Dartmouth has won a number of national championships. And we're there when the coronavirus thing kind of starts unfolding. Wow. And the chairperson from the NCAA says, look, we're in Montana. There's 0 cases out here. Skiing is a non-contact sport, and spectators don't come in contact with the athletes. We're going to be fine. We got 2 more days of championships. We're going to get through it. And literally, like, we go to sleep and wake up the next morning, and he's like, everything's canceled. Send everybody home.
Yeah. Wow.
So, I mean, I came back, went to the office one day, and I've been home ever since. Wow. And it took me a minute to kind of get into my routine, just as far as just getting settled, getting information to everybody as quickly as possible. So, I mean, it's been different. But again, I don't think I have any less information than anyone else in my role has across the country. So,
right.
So I do want to talk to you about. I noticed when I looked at your resume, you held up a resume, biography, whatever you want to call it. You've held a lot of like compliance, NCAA compliance positions. That's normally like a hot topic on this show. How they regulate everything. What do you feel is broken in that whole like process?
It's overregulated. I mean, it's just overregulated. And so the thing on top of that is by working in the Ivy League. So I don't know if a lot of people know this. The Ivy League does not offer athletic scholarships.
Right.
Yeah.
So we are supposed to be really the purest form of college athletics. Okay. So, I mean, we have some athletes whose parents stroke a check at Dartmouth for $77,000 a year because that's the cost of tuition here.
Wow.
But Dartmouth grants on anyone who they feel can be admitted to Dartmouth and contribute to the academic profile, they find the funding for them to come. So everyone who can be at Dartmouth is at Dartmouth. But the Ivy League has old principles that are still in place. So not only are there NCAA rules, there's a separate set of Ivy League rules that are even more restrictive than the NCAA. So for example, the NCAA said, okay, well, you can do 8 hours of virtual accountable athletic related activity with your student athletes. Well, the Ivy League, you can only do 6.
Right.
You know, so, but like now we're finding ourselves in this coronavirus deal where it's like, you're deregulating things for us to move through it now when these things shouldn't be regulated to begin with.
Right.
You know, so it's certainly overrated. I never imagined myself working in compliance, period. I certainly did not imagine myself working in compliance this long.
So let me ask you, you've been at Dartmouth for about what, 7 months? 7, 8 months? So from that time, what is the I guess the main difference between, aside from culture, I'll leave culture out of this, from working at like a Norfolk State Grambling than compared to working at a Dartmouth?
The resources.
So it's more at Dartmouth?
Our endowment is like $5 or $6 billion. B as in boy. Okay. So one of the things, now this is not Dartmouth, because actually with that endowment, we are one of the poorest Ivy League schools.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's like not even close, but we are like, out of the 8 Ivies, we're like 7 or 8 when it comes to finances and resources. So
hold on, let me get this straight. $5 billion. You guys are one of the poorest Ivy League schools. Now back up a little bit. Now, where does this $5 billion come from? That's from the alumni, or that's from like how did I get that?
Yes. So our alumni are we have alumni that's like the president of General Electric. You have a lot, and we have a lot of legacy student athletes. So it's not uncommon for us to have a student athlete on our roster who's getting dressed in a locker room that's named for their family. I'm gonna tell you the biggest flex. Wow. This is like one of my first days here. I decided to walk in town to get something to eat, and I'm walking by, and someone has it's a drop top Maserati just parked on the side, and I'm like, ooh, that's a nice car. This might have been one of the days it was kind of warmer, and right as I commented mentally on how nice that car was, they put the top back, and I was like, "What a flex! What a flex!" Kid was 20-some years old,
Right?
But certainly resources. So I'll tell you this. So one thing with the NCAA, when all of our student athletes were sent home in the middle of the spring, one thing our coaches were asking is, can we send them equipment? Because they can't get into the gym, they don't have anything home. Can we send them a basketball? Can we send them dumbbells? Can we send them whatever so that they can stay in shape? And the NCAA was like, no. And so our coaches were really kind of offended because they're like, we need to be able to get them something so that they can to condition themselves. Well, we had an Ivy League member institution request flexibility. So again, asked to not have to adhere to that rule because they wanted to send all of their student athletes Pelotons. Now, mind you, Dartmouth, again, we're a small Ivy. We have 1,100 student athletes.
Okay.
So can you imagine 1,100 times what? How much is the Peloton? $3,000?
Yeah. That might be on the low end. Yeah, that might be on the low end.
Princeton said that they get so much money from alumni that they have nowhere to put it in their athletic department. So resources is certainly the difference. Wow.
Okay. But the better athletes are at the HBCUs.
I will say that I have seen some Ivy League teams compete in some sports, and they would be very middle of the pack in some of the sports, and the MEAC, SWAC, etc. For sure.
All right, so I'm sure you've seen this meme going around saying if you want to make a statement for those top athletes, instead of going to those PWIs, send your student athlete to a HBCU. Your take.
So my take is, and I actually put this on Twitter last night, and it had 1,200 retweets.
Oh wow!
There are a number of Division I HBCUs.
Right. Oh, I saw that too. I saw that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think some people need to be mindful, especially people with larger platforms. I think Ricky said something about it. Right. I know Steven Jackson said something about it. And for those who just don't know, you'll look at that and assume that there are no Division I historically Black colleges or universities,
which is crazy.
And there are.
Right.
They
have conferences.
Grambling State, Norfolk State, Howard, Hampton, Coppin State, Texas Southern, Prairie View. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Right.
So I mean, I get what they were trying to say, but I just wanted to be clear that there are some.
There are Division I school, yes.
Right. But I get they're trying to say pull them from a Power 5 school. They want basketball players to not go to Kentucky. They don't want them to not go to Duke, and they want them to go to North Carolina Central, North Carolina, Texas Southern, etc. Okay, so I get it. Let me tell you, I really think, honestly, basketball would be the easiest sport to have it done.
Absolutely.
Because, with basketball, those elite 5-star kids, we're talking Zion Williamson, those types, they're going to be one and done anyway, right? I think it's harder for students, maybe football, etc., who their physical development needs more attention. Because again, we don't have all of our Division I historically Black colleges. We don't have nutritionists or dietitians or strength and conditioning staff that can give them personalized workouts based on whether they need to lose weight or whether they need to gain weight or need to really focus on something like that. I mean, that requires some resources, right? That we just at this point don't have. Now, if we could get some alumni and donors to put their money where their mouth is, we surely could make that investment and have it there. But I think basketball, because I mean, those kids go there and they're not even there for a year.
Right. Yeah, right.
So I mean, I hope some of these student athletes, I watched some high school kids, some 4 or 5-star kids talk about, even retweet me saying, hey, we need to talk, we need to this, we need to that. And I just hope they're not like clout chasing, just to kind of stir the conversation. Right. Because if a nucleus of them could get together and go to commit to one school, for example, or even commit to a number of schools within a conference, that it could really be a game changer for us. And
I mean, they all talk. It ain't because they all on the AAU circuit. And so they all talk to each other.
Yeah, go to camps together.
I agree. We all went to HBCUs, and the experience is different. It's just different. I think being on the HBCU campus is more of a family than just, oh, they went to school with me, they whatever. Because I have like my nephew, for instance, he goes to ODU. He plays football there. But he says, you know, I pretty much talk to some of the people in my dorm, and I talk to the guys on the team, and that's about it, you know. And I guess everything.
A football player at ODU talking trash to me on Twitter last night, and he blocked me. What's your nephew name?
It wasn't him. I saw it wasn't him. That guy played football at ODU.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. But yeah, so he don't have no room to talk. They only won one game last year. So he don't have no room to talk.
I mean, but to the point about it, one being a community, I see that even here, where you know, I talk to some of our Black student athletes, and they have group messages with only their Black teammates or with other Black people on campus, because they feel, I mean, and we're by far the most isolated of the Ivies, you know, because you got Princeton that's halfway between like Philly and New York City, right? You know, so there is a sense of isolation here, not only for student athletes, but for faculty and staff. But when you talk about, you know, HBCUs having a sense of community, this is another conversation I had with a friend of mine. You know, I grew up in a very blue collar, all Black neighborhood, right? And then from there, my parents built a house in a middle class, you know, maybe upper middle class Black neighborhood.
Right.
I loved both of those neighborhoods. I still love both of those neighborhoods. But then they purchased a piece of land in a white neighborhood. And we were out there one night, and the police came behind us, shined lights in our car, and asked us what we were doing out there because we looked out of place. My parents wound up getting another piece of land in another area in Chesapeake and building there. But I say all this to say is, you know, we always hear people, and we always say, I'm gonna build a house in a white neighborhood. I'm gonna, you know, move out of here, and like that's some type of ultimate goal.
Right.
We don't even consider the type of stressors that we're putting on our children and our families by putting them in that space. And I think the same thing can be applied to, you know, college athletics.
Yeah.
The type of spaces that you're creating for these particular students.
Absolutely.
Not only that, with everything that's going on, I think back to a lot of my Virginia State days. And I was thinking about all the times that you're riding through Chesterfield County or Colonial Heights, and how many people have been pulled over for erroneous reasons, or followed, or like you said, had lights shined in their car, and we were targets back then. You know, and it probably still to this day probably goes on. But nah, you're definitely right. We don't take into account the stressors that we do put on ourselves from taking ourselves out of certain environments and placing ourselves in different environments. So I definitely agree with that.
And the crazy thing, like, about what you're saying is, you know, feeling targeted by the police or being pulled over. And now we're seeing these recordings of like George Floyd. I cannot believe that the police in 2020, knowing all of these people are able to record this, still behave the way that they do. Except for the fact that they understand with this police alliance and blue line that they're not going to be indicted. But it is unfathomable to me that they can operate like this, knowing that there's a chance that they're being recorded. But we're talking about things that have been happening for decades, and what we're seeing filmed is this much of what's actually happening.
Those 4 cops look to be the most comfortable cops I bet, which tells you, which is what's even more scary, is how many times have you guys done something like this? Because they didn't seem concerned with anything. It just seemed routine to them, or this is how we deal with this type of situation, and they were good, and that's the scary part of what's going on.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to the winner of the week. and keep this conversation rolling.
No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner.
Welcome back. All right, so my winner of the week this week is Vic Fangio. Now, this pains me to say because Vic Fangio, he was part of those 49er teams. He was a coordinator, assistant coach, and, somebody that I followed through the ranks. And he ended up getting the head coaching job at Denver, the Denver Broncos. Very well overdue coaching job. But the reason why he's my winner of the week this week is he had the nerve to have a press conference yesterday and state that the NFL doesn't have any racism that goes on. And when I heard it, I was like, what? What are you talking about? I mean, just for one, we've all witnessed what happened with Colin Kaepernick.
Mm-hmm.
Two, you look at the lack of representation of African Americans in ownership in the NFL, GMs, the front office, a lot of the head coaching jobs. You also look at a couple of months ago, they had to make amendments to the Rooney Rule because it was being circumvented. You look at the opportunities of black quarterbacks that prior to a couple of years ago really didn't exist. You look at the second chances that African Americans get, which it seems like if you're a black quarterback and you mess up, it'll take you far longer to find a job opposed to their white counterparts. You look at some of the position breakdowns to where, like, you look at the offensive linemen and their pay structure and the quarterback's pay structure compared to the running back position, compared to some of the defensive linemen, compared to some of the safeties, and just how the salary differences and the amount of guaranteed money for players of culture. So when he said that, number one, it was the stupidest comment that I've heard in weeks. And I've heard a lot of stupid comments. Well, I can't even say the dumbest, but it was up there. But I couldn't quite get it together to, why would he say something like that? Maybe you guys have more insight on that.
You want me to start? Or you want to go, Tiff?
Well, you know what? It just put me in the mind frame of when people get out there and they say, "I don't see color." Are you kidding me? Are you being serious right now?
Oh man!
I was blown away that he could make that statement, and not only that, that makes me realize that you are not in tune to anything that's happening within your team, and that your players don't trust you, because there's certainly situations that are occurring within your organization that if they felt that you were able to facilitate a hard conversation, they would bring it to you, but they can't, and they haven't.
Yeah, as I'm with both of you. I think he's just culturally clueless. I mean, and he's just talking about in the NFL, and I could almost see if he was talking about in the locker room, where between players he doesn't see racism, and even that is way too many players to think that there's no guys that have racist tendencies or things of that nature. So for him to say that, I just think that he was clueless, and I just don't understand, because again, you have the coaching differential, you have the GM differential, you don't have any African Americans as owners. I mean, and I guess minorities, you have what, 2, maybe 3. So and none of them are black. So yeah, it's.
But I'll even take it a step further. Okay, so let's just say, and we'll give him a pass, that he was just talking about the locker room. We've seen incidents lately to where there's been racism in the locker rooms. And I guess the way football is, and I mean, you know better than I do, Ant, it's very cliquish based off of positions. And that's not to say, or if it's not at least positions, it might be defense and offense. Mm-hmm. You know, you have people that play certain positions. Mm-hmm. You know, you think of like offensive lineman. I ain't saying we ain't got black offensive linemen out there, but most of your white guys play offensive linemen. The offensive linemen hang out with each other. You look at like the defensive backs, the receivers, the running backs. Those are normally black. I mean, you might have a white guy here and there. So for somebody to be like, well, they're not separated because of race, but they are separated because of the race. You know, so I don't know. I don't know what he got from that. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish. Because it looks, I mean, the press conference, you saw the press conference, it was a hot mess.
And I mean, he literally had to create the Rooney Rule just to make space for black people to get interviews. So for you to be able to, like, obviously there was research and data put together that showed that we were not being afforded even the opportunity to interview for these positions. Now, I don't know if I can say the Rooney Rule is effective, because certainly these general managers and owners have made decisions on who the coaches are before they even bring a person in to do this interview just to fulfill this Rooney Rule requirement. So but only be a rule if it were not for some type of racism.
Right. And I think the only person that the Rooney Rule has really worked for has been Mike Tomlin.
What was work for Marvin Lewis?
Well, no. Marvin Lewis got that. If I'm not mistaken, because Marvin Lewis was a hot candidate, right? He was a defensive coordinator, and that's another issue, the coordinator differential. But Mike Tomlin wasn't even in the Steelers. He was a Rooney Rule. He happened to just go to cover to be the one, and then they said, oh, he blew him away with his interview. But it's like it's almost that saying where when you're black you have to work 10 times harder to, you know what I'm saying, and ultimately he must have destroyed that interview for him to get the job. But again, that Mike Tomlin got hired when we were in college. So I mean, it's everybody's looking for that new young talent, that hot young thing, and it's like McVay. And everybody that was on McVay's staff got a job without any real experience. You have somebody like the guy at in Arizona,
Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, you look at all that. He was a college coach who was terrible. He has a losing record as a college head coach. He had got the job at USC, and before the ink dried, he got hired as the head coach for the Cardinals after they just fired a black man who only got 1 year to prove anything with a terrible roster. So I mean, yeah, that race plays a part, because if that guy was a white guy, they would at least let him do at least 2/3 of his contract, at least, you know. So I don't know. If Dak Prescott was Tony Romo, he would have a contract right now.
Absolutely.
So yeah, man. Race is always going to play a part. It shouldn't. I think your talent should play the part, but I guess we could always say the best 53 aren't always on a roster, you know. So,
well, it's the fact that I think and I'll leave this topic, is that you didn't even you're not acknowledging it. So that's where we have to start with, is the acknowledgement. It's not about always having the answers or how to fix it, but to sit there and try to say something like that, we're supposed to believe you, oh yeah, the NFL is good. It's like, really, dude? Like you're not even thinking. So I get off my
All right, so I got a question for you, Tiff. Yeah. I got a question for you. Talk about the mall.
The mall. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, the NCAA finally passed legislation a few years ago saying that we could kind of feed the student athletes as much as we can afford to feed them, right? Well, I mean, you can feed them 24 hours a day, because, I mean, there was a big, we're not getting enough food. And it's true, because if you give a student athlete the same meal plan that you're giving to someone in the general student body, but they're burning 2, 3, 4, 5,000 more calories a day by working out to be a student athlete, then what you're providing is not sufficient. Right. So the NCAA said, okay, you can feed them as much as you want. We're no longer going to regulate that. Great. But then you have some schools who can't afford to feed anyone
right
as much as they can. So it was my idea at Grambling State University to provide a fueling station. Now it's not unlike, many other schools have fueling stations. They have them stocked in everyone's locker room. They can grab and go. We still could not afford that at Grambling.
Right.
So what I did was I worked with our strength and conditioning coach, and I worked with our food services nutritionist to identify, different types of snacks, things that were high in protein, things that were high in carbs, things that could be before practice, things that could be used for recovery. And what we did was we created a menu, and we allowed our student athletes to come through once a week, and they could grab 10 to 12 items of their choice. So things that they could eat between classes, things that had a long shelf life. So, because again, I recognized we could not do what they were doing at Alabama.
Right.
We could afford to do more than nothing.
Right.
And so I think that was one of the things I was proudest about at Grambling State, kind of being able to fill that need. And, it was crazy, we would open up and there would be kids lined up before we could even open the thing up on the concession stand. But I've always kept like oodles of noodles, cans of pineapples just in my office, because I got in the habit of asking my students, are you hungry? And if they are, just providing them something. And again, I know ramen noodles isn't a great meal for some people, but it's better than having nothing.
You could go and make up some ramen noodles.
Right.
Oh, shoot, please. Yep. Yeah. So how do we get to the point where that's not the problem? Where that's not an issue. Because like you said, the resources at HBCUs aren't like they are at a Power 5 school. But so how do we get the resources up?
So one thing that is very important, and I've been very active in the Virginia State Alumni Association, and I've been able to be educated about these things, about like donors and corporate sponsors. One thing I did not realize is, I don't know, let's say ABC is the name of the company, and they're interested, or you reach out to them to become a corporate partner with your university.
Right.
They don't necessarily ask how much money has your alumni given. They want to know the percentage of alumni that have given. So it's almost better versus you saying we raised $1 million this year. It's almost better if you raised $900,000 and 900,000 people each gave you $1. Because what the corporate partners see is there are 900,000 opportunities out there for money.
Right.
So they increase their donations and their willingness to partner with an institution based on the number of donors they will have access to. So it's important that even if you cannot give, because again, there's some times where I have more money than others, right? But when I see something come across my timeline for Virginia State University, if I'm at one of those times where I don't have much, I will still try to give $18.82 because Virginia State was founded in 1882. And I try to encourage people to do the same, because it matters less the amount of the donation, and it matters more the number of donors they get. And that is the best way for us to be able to increase financial donations to our institutions, by engaging more people.
All right, so donate the 1882 to Virginia State.
Right.
Everybody. If you graduated from Virginia State, donate the money. Whatever school. It doesn't have to be Virginia State. I mean, if you should donate something. So now you made me feel bad. So now I have to donate more. So now I have to donate more to the school.
For a while, I wouldn't donate nothing because I still was mad about all them fines that they used to hit us with, and some of them were bogus validation reasons for not being able to validate. So I was like, they ain't getting none of my money. But I've changed.
And that's not uncommon, particularly with the former athletes, because what I found is, so I chartered a chapter of the Alumni Association, which is the varsity club, which is open exclusively to former athletes, right? And I did it that way for a number of reasons. But what I found is that a lot of the athletes feel, well, I played and I wasn't on scholarship, or I played and I never was in the Hall of Fame, or I never this, and Virginia State owes me. Virginia State won't even give me a free ticket to a game. Well, they really don't owe you a free ticket to a game.
Right.
But, I just felt some responsibility to try to cultivate that relationship. So I bring, people into the organization. It's like $60 to join, whereas Virginia has a boosters organization that's not exclusive to athletes, but it's $1,000.
Right.
Like I feel like that alienates people that just do not have that ability to give. So we have a low price point. We try to keep everybody engaged with what's happening, with the current sports, etc. But that has been, I mean, it took a lot for me to cultivate those relationships and get people to trust what we were doing as a group, because they still had a bad taste in their mouth. Like you said, my scholarship wasn't posted and I got stuck with the fine. Or I got parking tickets that I shouldn't have gotten. So, I mean.
Oh, my God. Don't even get me started with that.
All right. So, this is my last question. Well, it's not really a question. Tiff, I'm about to brag. I'm about to brag about Tiff because, Tiff's one of my favorite people. So, Tiff has the best tailgate for homecoming. If you've been to homecoming and haven't been to Tiff's tailgate, you don't know what you're missing. Because for whatever she has a cooler. I don't know what it is. Because every time I ask, what is this? She said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So I'm like, yeah. She has a couch, she has a tent, and he has good food. I was thinking like the other day, I said, you know what? For homecoming, because last year we covered the game, and I think for home, I was like, maybe we could do a show from Tiff's tailgate.
We would love to have you over there.
So I think that's gonna happen. I think we'll set that up and we'll record live from the tailgate.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
and do something. Yeah, hey, it's out the box. Do something.
Yeah, and again, if y'all don't know about the tailgate, I'm telling y'all. It's a bunch of tailgates over there, but it ain't. You can tell the difference. You can tell the difference. You definitely can tell the difference.
It's funny you mentioned the couch. I had never seen anyone with like an inflatable couch, and a good friend of mine at the time was coaching at Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. And so I went to a football game down there, and like I walked through, and people had couches in their tailgate. And I literally got online, found had it shipped to KJ's house because he lives, right outside. Right. And then this year I got 2 more inflatable chairs. Then we added dining tables and chairs and table decor and whatever. But I mean, it is a good time.
Absolutely.
You're more than welcome to join us. And of course, off the record, you're gonna be broadcasted live. If we have homecoming this year,
we have homecoming, yeah. So I'm trying to be positive because I think by the time October comes, everybody, we're gonna flush out all of the first, whatever. And then homecoming. I really do hope we have homecoming because honestly, we need it. We need some sort of getaway, and for everybody to see each other and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And be like, "Hey, how you doing? I don't remember your name, but hi."
That's how I do.
Well, let me ask you this: would you rather? Because I mean, obviously, there have been some discussions, even on the pro level, doing stadiums at limited capacity, doing stadiums with no spectators in the stands, whatever. Would you rather have homecoming go on and not be able to be there, or would you rather have football season happen in the spring?
Oh.
Because that's a model that's being put out by some conference offices in the NCAA that all sports will take place in the spring term.
I don't agree with that. I think
I would rather not be there.
Yeah, if you miss the football season, you miss it. I don't think that because that's a lot, and you have would there be fans? You have spring ball, but that doesn't really count. That doesn't really affect basketball. We all know that football is king, but when you trying to compare a CIAA tournament to the CIAA championship for football, it ain't no comparison.
No comparison.
There's no comparison. So
hold on. Let me ask you this. You're saying that the CIAA basketball tournament is no comparison to the football?
Yeah, no, it's not. The basketball, the other way around.
So the basketball is bigger, right?
Absolutely, right. Yes.
Okay. I was about to say, I was like, okay.
Yeah, basketball, but that's just CIAA.
Okay.
When you start talking Power 5 and start talking about March Madness versus the national championship, I'm almost certain that every 80 or whoever is going to want to do March Madness instead of the national championship because that's way more money. So
I'll tell you this. So the NCAA actually, we get a piece of revenue distribution every year from the NCAA. So what the NCAA told us is because of the revenue lost on March Madness and other championships,
Mm-hmm.
we would see a 70% reduction in the funding that we receive from the NCAA. So
What?
schools that were once getting $1 million, you're now only going to get $300,000. So, I mean, there was a major impact financially to the NCAA by those championships not taking place.
Sheesh.
I mean, even as you see, Dartmouth has, we have money, but again, we've been using that money and budgeted to provide other experiences for our student athletes, and that money's not there anymore.
Dang. Well, that's wild. Let everybody know how they can find you.
Oh, wow. So you can find professional Tiffany, mostly professional Tiffany on Twitter at Tiffani, that's Tiffany with an I, so TIFFANI_Sykes, and that's SYKES. You can find a little more relaxed Tiffany on Instagram at Tiffany, again with an I, so Tiffani.Dawn, DAWN. So Tiffani.Dawn on Instagram and Tiffani_Sykes on Twitter.
All right. I appreciate you for coming. I've been trying to get you on the show. How long?
2 years, right?
2 years,
Yeah.
probably 2-3 years. And I mean, you're super busy. Anytime, I remember we were in the studio, and I think I might have seen your post that you came to a baby shower, and I was like, "How are you gonna be in town?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'm leaving like at noon or something." It was something crazy. I was like, I like, well, we'll figure it out. And it took the coronavirus.
It did to sit me down a little bit, because you have invited me, but I mean, especially like at HBCUs when you're working with all the sports yourself versus here, I have a small segment of sports that I work with.
Right.
Even now, being home with coronavirus, I mean, I couldn't say no now.
Right.
Time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I didn't want you to just call in and it ain't the same. But definitely appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was a good time. So hopefully I didn't ruin it. Y'all have me back.
Oh, absolutely. So when we get back, whenever we get back to the studio, because they are tripping in DC. Whenever we get back to the studio,
we thought we were going back this week. I literally thought we were going back this week. I thought we were going back this week.
So, CIAA.
I'm going to Baltimore. I will be in Baltimore this year. I took a CIAA hiatus for a little bit because I felt some type of way about the city of Charlotte and the peanuts that they were given and the contract negotiations between the conference and the city of Charlotte. So even the last year I went to Charlotte, I did not stay in the city of Charlotte, and I wouldn't even gas up my car in Charlotte, because like when I get behind something, I'm behind it. Right.
So petty. So how do you? And I know we're about to get off, but how do you think the city of Baltimore or the CIAA is going to fare in the city of Baltimore or county? I guess it's the city is.
I think if the CIAA, the office itself, has taken advantage of opportunities and hired the right people, I think it could be successful. And I mean, I know people have gotten used to it being in Charlotte, but there are huge numbers of HBCU alumni. And because remember, CIAA tournament, it's not always just CIAA people who attend. They're all in a reunion. But we have huge demographics in New York, in New Jersey, in Philly, in DC, and Baltimore that if they're able to capture, I really think it can be a successful event.
They got to market it right.
Yeah,
they have to market it right. Right now, I think most people are sad that is leaving Charlotte and is going to Baltimore. But like you said, it could be big if the right people get behind it and market it right.
Yeah, I thought Charlotte got stale, and I think the city was taking advantage of the people. So I
agree with that.
I wouldn't mind them bringing it back to Richmond.
Yeah, I mean, I think Richmond could have been good, but I want to say it was something with. So I think the Richmond Coliseum is being renovated at some point.
Because they damn near knocked it down, so it's being renovated. Yeah.
Right. So the facility, I don't think was going to be available in time for the contract needing to be.
Okay. Right. Well, Baltimore it is.
Baltimore
it is. All right, Tiff, we appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, thanks for coming through.
Thank you.
All right, no problem.
All right.
See you at homecoming.
So yeah, we'll see you at homecoming. So Scott, we got a few minutes. I was thinking about getting Marcus on here. Because I know he was talking a lot of like, he was supposed to be on last week, but we had guests, and we had guests today as well. So maybe if we could get him on.
Yeah, go ahead and get him on.
Let's try and get Marcus on. And but real quick, I know we were talking about Dak. Well, we didn't talk about Dak, but get your thoughts on Dak and everything. That how what's your feeling on what he did for awareness?
No, it's big, man. $1 million to police force and police training. That's huge. That's what I call putting your money where your mouth is. And I mean, a lot of people have been doing good stuff. It's a lot of people out there that are really trying to make a difference.
I was saying, and I don't think we should focus on the bad people, because I think that's what kind of happens. We start to focus on the bad people. Like, I'm not gonna call Drew Brees bad, but what he said was bad. You know what I'm saying?
So here's the deal with like Drew Brees and Vic Fangio and some of the other people. It's not that they're bad people, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but it gives you insight to how they think.
Right.
And I think that's the takeaway to where, like Tiffany was saying, Drew Brees has made his bones in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And for him to say that, even if he was thinking it,
right.
I mean, he probably should have kept it to himself. But for him to say something like that, it just put him into the category of like Trump.
Mm.
I mean, there's no difference in what Drew Brees said and how Donald Trump feels. So it makes you think about him a different type of way.
Damn. To that extreme?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's the same. It's the same principle, because again, this isn't about the flag.
It's not about the flag. You're right.
It has nothing. I'm a veteran.
Right.
Drew Brees in his article, he talked about fighting wars. I fought in wars. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about the flag. Don't try to spin it that people are being disrespectful to America. It's about our rights.
Right.
It's about humanity. Mm-hmm. And for him to say that, and again, like Vic Fangio, I'll put Drew Brees in the same category. You're intelligent people. You know what I mean? So you know better. So I'm going to hold you to a different level of accountability.
Right.
When you say stupid stuff or stuff that doesn't make sense, because I expect more from you.
Right. All right. Let's bring this guy on. Yo.
And see, he's a Drew Brees fan too, right?
And this is another reason why I wanted him up here too. I do want him to talk about his victory, but we definitely go. I do want to hear your thoughts, because I saw what you posted earlier, and when I saw it, you're the first person I thought about, because I was like, this man's a Saints fan, and this is your quarterback, and it's like, and I think the first thing you say is, damn. Because you would think somebody like that would, especially in New Orleans, like you said, Scott, will fight for us. He would be with us. But I'm not saying he's not with us, but that statement says that you ain't with us.
Man, when I heard it,
mm-hmm.
It broke my heart, man. It broke my as a Saints fan. Hold on, man.
See, he mad too.
Yeah, we all mad. We all mad. But as a Saints fan, man, like I work like that's my quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all both know this,
right?
He's everything to the Saints. Like as soon as he hangs his cleats up, he has a statue waiting on him.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But now, like you just showed all of us fans and your teammates of color
mm-hmm.
that you don't care about what we're saying to you.
Right.
You don't care about what's really going on. All you care about is what you think.
And you saw who was the first person to respond to him, right?
Right.
You saw Michael Thomas.
Absolutely.
Right.
Checked him real quick.
And that's his guy.
Yeah.
This guy.
Yep.
So what you're telling me is that regardless of what we are saying to you, it doesn't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing because
it's wild.
yeah, because all you care about is a fucking. Excuse my language. Am I allowed to curse?
You're good, man.
All you care about is a fucking flag.
Right.
Really?
Right.
And right now, we don't give a damn about no flag or your grandfathers.
Right.
Because you obviously don't care about ours.
Yep.
Like Scott said, I came in on the tail end of Scott saying he was a veteran and how he fought in wars, and he doesn't feel like it's disrespectful what Colin Kaepernick was protesting peacefully about.
Right.
What about Scott? What about the people he went to war with?
Yep.
So if like you're just so ignorant to everything that's going on. And
It's crazy.
As smart as you are, the man is very intelligent. We all know.
Right. Yep.
Just like Scott said, we hold him at a higher standard because of your level of intelligence. Your IQ is amazing, but you don't share that same thought process when it comes to us. I can't rock with that. I've been on the phone since 3:00, fellas, talking about this.
Yeah,
everybody's been calling me because most people like you, Scott. I'm the only Saints fan you know.
Right.
So I've been on the phone and just expressing my displeasure, my hurt. I mean, not my hurt, but my pain, my anger.
Right.
Like I'm pissed off.
Because it was almost like, especially after like this weekend. So Friday when all the protesting and rioting started, it was like I said on the roundtable, we need allies, right? We need allies. Yeah. So and we've gotten a lot of them. You had like Mark Cuban, you know, and it's not like some of the fake help, I guess you could say, or you know, Mark Cuban's always, you know, he's always been one of those guys. A Steve Kerr, a Greg Popovich. That's why the Spurs.
Hold on, let me stop you there. You think Mark Cuban's always been one of those guys?
Well, let me not say he's always been,
because I would very strongly disagree with that.
I mean, so he had the issue, you know, the internal issue with the Mavericks, but that was more. I don't think that was more of a race thing. That was more of a sexist thing.
Mark Cuban, he can go either way. Like I wasn't really feeling the stance he took with the whole Donald Sterling thing.
Yeah, I agree with you, Scott.
I agree because he didn't. He was. I remember. Yeah, because I just watched.
I stopped.
So I get that. I understand that. But somebody like Greg Popovich and somebody like Steve Kerr, they've always been, you know, down for the cause, I guess you can say. I guess that's kind of like cliche, but they're one of the allies, I should say. And I know we kind of put a lot of we put maybe too much stake in what athletes and people in the entertainment business think and what their thoughts are. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean it is what it is.
It's no different than Tom Brady wearing the Make America Great hat in the Patriots locker room.
You're right, Scott. But he had the awareness to not go in depth about that.
Right.
He said in an interview, once they asked him about it, he said, I don't discuss politics. And it was left alone.
Right.
But what Drew Brees could have dodged that question so swiftly or answered it to the point of saying something like, well, although my initial feelings about this were about the kneeling was disrespectful to the flag, I now understand the plight of America, what's going on in our nation, and I understand why this was happening. He could have easily said that.
But he doesn't feel that way.
Exactly.
Right.
But if you're a quarterback in the NFL for 20 years, you know how to conduct the interview.
Oh, absolutely.
You know how to answer questions. You know how to dodge questions. Because you dodge questions when they ask you about how bad you played. But you can't dodge questions about this. You know
yeah. All right, man. Let's pick it up a little bit because I know, you know, we about to get out of here, but Go ahead, man. Let me have it. Come on, guys.
I mean,
Come on, guys.
I want to see the show. I mean, where's the?
Oh no, we're not.
Saying?
Oh no. All right, so I was telling Scott, I did lose the bet, and I am going to do it because I always fulfill my bets. I take bets very, very seriously. I really do. Especially if I lend you money or whatever. If you bet me and lose, I take that more seriously if I lend you money and you owe me money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you got to be a man of your word and things of that nature. So I am going to fulfill the bet. And I've been messing with Scott since Sunday about when I'm going to do it. I'm not. Hold on. I'm not going to do it today because
it's not going to happen today.
No, it's not going to happen today. But I will say this: we have a guest next week, but I'll do it next week.
So while I have both of you here, this is something that I figured out when competing in the competition. This is where I think the competition would be better. I think it should be some sort of limitations to what you should be able to play. I think it should be some sort of category or something. It doesn't have to be the same category every time, but I think that would help with the judging.
No, yeah. So here's the thing. Real quick, Mark.
So hold on, let me elaborate on that real quick, and I'll make it quick.
I know exactly what you're saying.
So I think the people competing are putting the judges in jacked up situations because you're trying to ask them to compare songs that shouldn't even be compared. You get where I'm going?
I see what you're saying.
What you mean? You mean he said categories?
No. So no, not in the categories. So what he's saying is let's go back to the verses, right? Where when Babyface was going against Teddy Riley, you had that was such a tough matchup because Teddy Riley would play the show and Babyface would play 2 occasions. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's what Scotty's getting at. And so normally with our battles we did have those parameters and we still do. We just said before we were just saying R&B. You know what I'm saying? And again, that's a wide range.
Well, I'll just use this example, right? So I played Mary J. Sweet Thing. In my mind, I thought the person I was going against was going to play like Janet Jackson, maybe Whitney Houston, maybe a Faith Evans or something like that. Mm-hmm. But then they played Between the Sheets, which is obviously a better song, but you can't judge the two. You get where I'm going? And that's what I was saying at the beginning of the show was I was watching y'all competition and I was like, okay, well, you guys went from soundtracks, or you said, okay, I want to play an old school joint. I want to play an old school joint. And it made it more of a competition opposed to where, man, I'm just going to play the best song.
Well, you know what? To combat what you're saying, first of all, I agree with you. Wholeheartedly, I agree with you. And that's the reason why I brought the element of coming up with the categories, because that gives you a selection to make rather than just openly playing a song.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So for instance, let's bring up one of Scott's categories. He said, do a duet, a wedding song duet. Mm-hmm. How many wedding song duets are there? I mean, duet wedding songs are there? It's a lot, but off the top of your head, you can only think of maybe 5 or 6.
Right.
But it gives the judges a parameter to go in. But if you just play a song, the judge is sitting there exactly.
I can play Jodeci and Ant could play the Whispers.
Right.
I mean,
you really can't compare. Yeah, you really can't compare them. But then it comes into which song do you know? Right. Which song do you have a good feeling for? And so I think a lot of that be cleared up if we kind of tighten up.
I'll have the rules for everybody on Sunday.
Well, I think this competition we gotta keep it the way it is. I just think moving forward.
No, I know I got this, guys. I got this.
Well, just make it. Let's make it 10 categories instead of the 5 open songs at first.
Mm-hmm.
Just make it fully. Just make the whole battle categories. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's possible too. But again,
I think the person that goes first should be able to name the category. So they should be able to be like, yo, I'm playing an 80s song. You know what I mean? And then bow. You know, or I'm playing an 80s song by a male.
That would give the first person an advantage though.
And honestly, I mean, but
that's true.
For the most part, the second person normally has the advantage because they can switch it up during while you're playing that for that minute. But I mean, there's a number of things, and then some things got to be ironed out and whatever. But we want to have you on here so you can gloat a little bit and talk about your strengths. But yeah, man, good stuff, man. Just congrats to you guys. You guys won.
Hey, yeah, man. Me and Scott are the victors, man. We do this, man. You know what I'm saying?
I know. I gotta go now. All right.
Hey.
Okay. So after the ladies battle, who's the next matchup?
I think it's me and Eric.
Y'all going for a rematch?
Yeah, that one didn't really. That one was. We was just playing around on that. That wasn't. Yeah.
He ain't gonna play nothing but Tony. You know
they battled and Charles lost.
Yeah, that joint was. It was.
They battled after our battle.
That joint. Let me tell you. So you know how I know that.
Really? Why wasn't I told about that?
No. I'm telling
you.
Listen, we was just literally on there just talking, and I said, "Why don't we just battle now, right?" So it was 3 of us, but the last song, oh man, I think
we went 7 rounds. They didn't
we just did say, "Hey, what's up, man? Stop crying."
Say what's up. He hungry. That's all.
Yeah. But before we get out of here, man, again, thanks for showing up real quick. I know you ain't got time to play your we ain't playing that drink because I don't want to get no whatever. So, but man, we see you this weekend.
All right, Sunday, fellas.
All right, man.
Sunday. All
right, y'all.
I don't holler at you.
All right, so hold on, let's wrap up,
okay,
man.
Wrap up.
You know what I mean? No, but again, real quick, follow us on YouTube, the Off the Record Show, Instagram, the Off the Record Show, Facebook, Off the Record. Subscribe on YouTube because we said so, and we asked nicely. Vipers 31 for me. Scott Q Smith for Scott. I got you. Don't even worry about it. I got you. I got you. And that's it. We out. Oh, the OTR show on Twitter. But we gotta get out of here because, yeah. All right. Just off the record. We out. Peace.